Thank you very much, Leonor, for introducing me. So I'm trying to share my screen. So as Leonor was presenting, I'm an artist. My background is in art. I studied art, and for many years I worked as an artist, and then a little bit let's say life brought me in situations where I happened to work with businesses, and I understood that actually bringing art and artful thinking into business context could be something really interesting. So today I have a business coaching company in Italy, in Milan, and we are working here all over in Italy and also abroad. And what I try to do in my work is to bring art and artful thinking into the business context, to organizations and to managers, in order that they can really think in a more profound way, to have emotional contact with what they're doing, understand their organization in a more profound way. And today I'm going to talk about the relationship we have with our work and about some ideas I have about what is going to happen in the future. And I'm going to do this by using the art for artists. So exactly what I do also when I go into companies and coach people. So we're starting with this sentence. The future is already here. It's not just very evenly distributed. This sentence has been used a lot in the last 20 years. It is maybe a quote by William Gibson from the 19th, maybe not, we don't know. But it is a very, very good sentence. And this is a good starting point to start to think about future. It is actually already here. A lot of stuff of the future are here, and they are not evenly distributed at all. Some people in the world live in a totally different kind of reality. They work in a totally different way than many others. And probably this will be the case also in 15 to 20 years of time. So Sylvain earlier was talking about future scenarios, about putting our gaze into the future. When we try to look at the future, we need to start here. What will change? Where are we now is the situation that the expectation for millennials is to have between 8 and 15 employers during their professional career. Depends a little bit about the study you use, about the source you use, but this is more or less the average. In the same time, the time spent in a company is from 3 to 5 years. So it is really very, very different situation than the generations before. We are changing very often our work, and we are staying shorter time in the same organization. I think of one very good question we can ask is, this speed, what does it cause actually to us from the psychological and point of view and the point of view of our identity? An artist I want to introduce to you is Cindy Sherman. Cindy Sherman is an artist who has worked in the last 30 years with portraits. We see in her pictures, in her photographies, a lady who's dressed every time in a different way, who has a different makeup, different hair, different looks. Many times Cindy Sherman takes inspiration from media, from films, from the television series we see, and she dresses herself up in a different way. So every time she has a different role. I think what is interesting when Cindy Sherman analyzes her work is she says, these are not self-portraits. These are pictures that tell something about our time, but I am not inside these pictures. So it's a little bit like a role that an actor plays, an actor that plays a theatrical scene or a film. It's not the person, it's a role. But something of the person is always inside the role. Otherwise, the role would be dead, wouldn't it? And doesn't this happen also when we have a role in a company? So we go and we enter into a new role, and each of us play the role we have inside an organization in a different way. There are not two people who play the same role in the same way. So it is always a question about interpretation. This is something we really see in coaching. Everybody, all the people who start to reflect on their own role inside the company, they give their own meaning and they fuel the role with their power, their energy, their ideas. So what does it mean to be and live in a world where you have to change the role so many times and so often from the point of view of the identity? This is something really, I think, an interesting question. So compared to the previous generations, we are changing also something inside ourselves with a speed that is totally different. Because of course, all of us identify with the work we do. Some identify more, some identify less, some even identify so much that they somehow get lost in the role. So what we can ask ourselves about the future, it's a future maybe of a fragmented identity. How does changing work or even profession several times influence our professional and personal identity? And also kind of in a life path with many different changes, what are the building blocks that go and somehow strongly influence the perception of ourselves and who we are also as people? So I think this is one really interesting question. The second artwork I want to introduce to you is the work of Asger Jorn. Asger Jorn is a fantastic artist from Denmark. Actually, he's dead by now, but he was a fantastic artist. He invited the three-sided football, triolectics, also called triolectics. And in the three-sided football, we have three teams. But the rules of the game are very different from traditional football. So, for example, in order to have a valid goal, two teams need to collaborate. So the ball has to go through players in two different teams in order to be a valid goal. Also, the team that wins the game is the team that has had less goals in their own goal. So it means that there is a lot of attention of keeping your goal very well protected. And there's a big attention in creating collaboration with the other team. What is really interesting also is that Asger Jorn, when he invented this game in 1964, so we're talking a long time ago, thought about the future. And he said, the future will be all about collaboration. It will be all about creating alliances very fastly with very many different partners. And isn't this maybe the world where we are living also now? And I think it is the world where we will live also in the future, even more. So, for example, today, companies are often, the people are working together side by side with other people that are part of another organization. So the idea of a border, the idea of what is a company, what is an organization, is blurred. It is not that official border that we know, because the people who work together day by day, many times weeks, months, and sometimes even years, actually their relationship become stronger than between the people inside the organization, inside the company. One aspect I think that probably we should try to understand about future is blurry borders. So how will the concept of a colleague change in the future? Who will I call a colleague? The people in my company or the people I collaborate with because we have a good collaboration or because we need to work together steadily every day? And what are the boundaries of our working context in the future? With how many organizations and people will we interact on a daily basis? So another work I'm happy to introduce to you is The Trainee by Pilvi Takala. Pilvi Takala is a Finnish artist who works on making visible, perceivable, and understandable unwritten rules inside social contexts. And I will show you a little piece of a video of hers, of a wonderful work, The Trainee, that you can find on Pilvi Takala's webpage.
Ei, kun mä oon täällä vaan vähän matkustamassa. Matkustamassa? Aina uudestaan se nopeasti. Junatyyppinen.
Ei vähän. Varmaan aika kuulen mukaan.
Niin, tulee vähän erilainen ajatus. Mä oon vaan täällä hississä.
Me rupesin sitä seiskuntaa. Kun meni alas, niin tässä samalla.
Joo, se oli itse asiassa itse, kun mä lähdin syömään vähän aikaa sitten. Monettiko kertaa menee?
En mä sitä ole laskenut. Mä oon vaan taas, tiedät, se vähän niin kuin junassa. Niin pystyy ajattelemaan ihan eri tavalla, kun se liikkuu.
Ja hissillä tässä.
Joo, mä teen mun graduusit, kun mulla on tämmönen ajatustyö meneillään. Tää on vähän niin kuin juna, tiedätkö?
Aha. Joo. Se on tässä kyydissä ja ajatus juoksee paremmin.
Se on eri asia olla liikkeessä kuin paikallaan.
Selvä. Ihan mielenkiintoista.
Joo, kannattaa kokeilla.
Joo.
Niin.
Mitä sä ajattelet?
Mä mietin vähän, mä teen mun graduusit. Tässä on tosi hyvä, tiedät, vähän niin kuin junassa. Liikkeessä.
So I'm going to leave the video on the background. So what can you see in this wonderful work of Pilvi Takala? So in this piece, she agreed together with the management of Deloitte in Helsinki to fake that she is the trainee of the marketing department of the company. So for 2 months, Pilvi Takala went to the offices of Deloitte and made all kinds of actions that created somehow embarrassment and difficulty in the social context. So in this video, what you can see is the day from the elevator. So the artist is inside the elevator and she's going up and down in the elevator. And when people enter the elevator, they ask her, to what floor are you going? Of course, the video camera is, they can't see the video camera. And people ask him, to what floor you go? And she says, I'm just staying in the elevator because it gives me inspiration. It helps me to think better. It's like staying in the train. My thought flows better. And as you can see in the prosemics, in the body language of the people, little by little, they get really, really embarrassed. And it's interesting how in the organization, what happens is that little by little, people start to talk about who is this crazy girl who's doing all these kind of strange interventions. Another day, she's seated behind the desk. And when people come and ask her, do you want a computer? Do you want something to work with? She says, no, I'm just thinking, I'm trying to resolve a problem. So it's very interesting how Pilvi Takala kind of, and what she also declares, that if she would have a computer and she would even stay just on Facebook the whole day, it would be more acceptable because then she would at least be doing something. And through this work, she is kind of making explicit and tangible and understandable how we are still today in the world of knowledge workers that are working with our thought, that are working with really creating something intangible, living kind of in a mentality like in a factory. So we need presence, we need tangible outputs. We are all the time kind of in a mindset regarding the work of past century. So through the work of Pilvi Takala, this becomes very, very much evident. I'm just going to show you really the last part of the video.
Tämä on vastaaja. Voitte jättää viestin äänimerkin jälkeen. En laittanut tiedon treeniin, kun löytän uuden paikan, eli nyt hän on haluttu siihen ja seisoo hississä ja ajelee edestakaisin hissillä ihmisten mukana, eikä itse ei parantaa nappia, mutta seisoo nurkassa, tuossa on useampi perheille näyttämään samaa hissiä hänen kanssa, eli häräilee hissiä edestakaisin. Koittakaa hoitaa sitten pois, niin lailla kuin mahdollisuus.
There's a last email. Hi, now the trainee has placed herself in the elevator closest to the canteen. She's standing in the back corner, drifting from floor to floor with the other users. People spend senseless amount of time speculating this issue. Couldn't we now get her out of here? Obviously, she has some kind of mental problem. So, from my point of view, I think that when we think about future, we really need to think about the working conditions. Sylvain was already very much talking about this. What are the needed conditions? What kind of evolution will there be from the technological point of view? But also, what are the working conditions necessary for working well in the future from the psychological point of view? So as a coach, what I see is that we need to focus on really a more profound self-knowledge and self-understanding, and also an ability to take space from this world that is moving so fast and is so easily putting us out of focus and so easily driving us, as Sylvain said, in burnout or in states that are not healthy at all. So regarding the future, for sure, we need to start to work on the skills that help us have a better balance. And also a good question is, what kind of tools will we use for our work in the future, and how will we handle these tools, because they are like knives with two parts. From one side, we can see also this wonderful internet that is connecting us tonight, makes it possible that we can connect from all the world, but in the same time, it's also a danger because we are all the time connected and many times too much. So these are some of the challenges. I'm moving to my last work. This is the work from Roman Opalka. This is also an old work, but I think that it is a wonderful, wonderful contemporary artwork. Opalka made a very, how would I say, he was very, very specific on his work, and he made a photography of himself, a self-portrait every day for more than 4 decades. This work is very different from the work of Cindy Sherman that we saw at the beginning of the presentation. So this is Opalka every day looking at the camera, without dresses, without makeup, without anything. It's him. And what is the result? We can see in this very big gallery, he made more than 5 million portraits because he photographed every day for more than 4 decades. We can see that the man at the left is very, very different than from the row below on the right side. What does this make us think? That we live very different seasons in life. We actually live many different lives in one life. And this is something you start to understand when you become older. I'm actually not the same person I was 20 years ago. And I'm probably not the same person I will be from 20 years from today. So what are the different seasons I am living? And how does this also influence our organizations? Because this exact moment is the first time that organizations have 5 generations of people, 5 generations that have different culture, different way of approaching to life, a different way of communicating, different approach to communication, different approach to technology. This is an enormous challenge, how we can actually include all them into a common doing together that is constructive. But I want to ask you to make one pass over this, because the life expectancy at birth is growing. Actually, this is now from the UN projections for children born 2015, where Japan and Italy are absolutely the top rate of the world. The life expectancy is over 90 years of age. Some say it will even be higher. Some technological medical inventions will make it even much higher. So not only do we live longer, but we live in good health longer. This means that we actually will want to work for longer, because isn't work the place where we actually spend a lot of time to do something that is interesting for us, inspiring, meaningful? So the idea of pension, the idea of quitting at a certain age, I think when we look at this, is very last century, very last season, something that will change in the future. And this will, of course, create enormous future challenges. So the future is about iterative, continuous personal and professional growth. We will probably work for some time. Maybe in the middle we will study, then maybe we will work again. And we will probably work for a very, very long time if we are so fortunate that we find a work that is actually inspiring to us, that we actually like. I will end this presentation with not an artwork, but with this picture, because the lady you can see in the picture is my musa. She is my inspiration. She's my mother-in-law. She's 92 years of age, and she's here making the Italian pasta together with my daughter. And this lady is cooking for our family 2 times a day, lunch and dinner every day. And in my idea, maybe she has good genes. I know she eats very well. I know she goes to bed very early, so she has very healthy habits. But what I think is that why she lives so well at such a high age is because she loves to do what she does since 80 years. That is her work, to cook for her family. And that is the secret of her old age. Thank you.